So what's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking. I'm truly grateful. If you're new to this channel, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel so we can grow it together. So guys, as you can see, today I am doing something different. I am driving right here in Shanghai, and I've been wanting to do a video like this for a long time, but I haven't really had a chance. Today is a day that I've made time to do it. And what is it about today? So today I just want to make this vlog and talk a little bit about the rise of Chinese cars and Chinese motorcycles and Chinese technology in general. There are people out there who might dispute this and say it's not Chinese, it's stolen technology and all that. I'm just going to take my time and break it down, especially from the perspective of someone who's been living in China for over a decade now, and having the experience of driving in China and riding a motorcycle in China. This is my personal perspective, my opinions. It might not represent the generality of opinions, but this is what I have observed and seen. And today I want to focus on cars because that's where all the innovation is coming from, and most especially focus on EVs, electric vehicles. So unless you're living under a rock, or unless you don't care, you might already, look at this guy, you might already be aware that Chinese cars, especially the EVs, right? There was times gone by, years gone by, Chinese companies struggled a little bit with making reliable engines. But even up to about 5 years ago, Chinese cars, ICE cars, internal combustion engine cars, were getting better and better. The engines were getting better and better. But then when they made this big push towards EVs, and an EV just basically needs a shell of the car, some technology, some coding, and then electric motors. So the Chinese companies jumped into it. And fast forward to today, there are some who would argue that Chinese electric cars are the most advanced in the world, and I kind of agree. I've done a lot of videos reviewing Chinese cars, doing walk around videos of Chinese cars on this channel. And if you look at the tech that's in the Chinese cars, it's really crazy. And I won't just limit it to the technology. I think there are little things that legacy brands are ignoring, or asking you to pay extra fees, extra money just to get those features, right? So I'm just going to talk about some of them, and if I forget some, anyone who wants to contribute in the comment section, you're welcome to do so. So, and as I drive along, you might see some cars that you may have never seen before. I'm in the outskirts of Shanghai, so you might not see that much, but you can still see a little. There's a lot downtown though. So yeah, with this big push in EVs and the government offering free number plates for people who have EVs and all that, it really pushed the car manufacturing companies to switch from ICE cars to electric cars. And there are many other car companies created as well as a result of that big push to electric cars. But let's take a look at why why are the Chinese cars kind of taking over now, or maybe have taken over. If you live in China, you already know that the Chinese cars have taken over. There's no two ways about it. And I think it's because of something that the Chinese companies are doing that foreign car brand companies are not doing. They're just trying to catch up now. I've seen Nissan coming with the N7, Toyota has coming with the BZ3X and all the other amazing electric cars. But still, and I'm talk about big brands like Mercedes, BMW, VW, they're all doing electric cars now. But there's just something about the Chinese cars that when you see, I'm not talking about quality now, but I'm talking about what consumers want, at least in the Chinese market, and virtually, and soon is going to be something that car owners all over the world want. So you get into some of these Chinese cars, and when you sit in the driver's seat, all the functions you see, some of these functions are not available yet on the legacy brands. But even if they are there, you have to pay a fee. I remember I saw a video of a guy lamenting. He bought some sort of a BMW some years back, and the car came with heated steering. And he at the time of reserving the car or picking his specs, he forgot to take the heated steering wheel. It says that it's there, but apparently he had to pay extra to activate it, and that had to be done at the dealership, what they call Ford store here in China. But this thing happened somewhere in Europe or in America. I can't remember. Forgive me. And he went back so pissed because he bought a brand new car and the heated seat steering wasn't working. So he went back to the dealership and they were like, "Oh, you didn't take it when you were buying." And so that function is not activated. And so if you want to activate it, you have to pay an extra for us to activate it for you. And he got so angry. So I'm just bringing this in as an analogy to explain why the Chinese cars are becoming popular and taking over. So what happens with Chinese cars is usually they have 2 or 3 variations of the same car, but there are some basic functions that are the same across board. Heated steering wheel, heated seats, cool seats, massage seats. Most of the time, the only difference you would find in Chinese cars in the spec sheet is maybe dual motor or single motor, especially relating to EVs, and maybe a little bit of trim here and there, and that's it. But the basic functionality will be similar. And that's what legacy brands are not doing. And I would blame legacy brands a little bit for this because they saw it coming, especially those who have plants in China. They saw it coming and they just brushed it off. And now it's coming back to haunt them. They are now having to chase the Chinese brands. And honestly, if you live in China and you look around, as you can see, there's a Tesla in front of us, there's a Mercedes there. There are people who are keeping their old cars, but there are millions of people who are, a huge percentage of people who are choosing electric cars. And what electric cars do they choose? They just choose the Chinese brands because they're cheaper. They give you all the functions. We'll talk about safety later and reliability. But I've been here, see people driving them, and you don't really see any huge problems. Yes, there are problems here and there, and it's understandable that some of these companies are new. So we can assume that they don't really know what they're doing, if we can say that. But over time, they will improve. But that's the danger. If you are an old car manufacturer and you don't do anything about it, about your providing functionality and value for the customers, what you're doing is you're giving time to the local companies, and they're just getting better and better. And once they're up there, they might take over the whole market, as is already happening. So yeah, back to the whole thing. So you have simple things like a tray in the back behind the front passenger seat and the driver's seat. Just a tray for rear passengers to eat while the car is in motion, or for kids to do their homework, or just to put a computer or a tablet there. These are functions that used to be reserved for cars that you will spend a fortune on. Why were only S classes and what do you call it, Rolls Royces have these functions? I mean, if you can't put a high premium one there, just put a plastic one or something that works. I know Skoda, I'm driving a Skoda. I know Skoda did that with their, I don't know if the Superb had it, but I think the, what is it, the Kodiak, when it came, or it's still around, the Kodiaks have that function as well. You can have it if you want, but it still is not as premium. But you go into a Chinese car that costs like $20,000-$30,000, and you have these functions. And when you look at it, the quality, it's aluminum, it's metal, it has some nice nappa leather or some soft material on it. So simple things like that. You don't have to pay extra to do these things. I mean, if you want to provide value, well, maybe years past you didn't need that, but with all the competition now, you got to switch up because the Chinese companies are waiting for nobody. You had to pay so much money just to get upgraded tire, upgraded wheels. If you get 19 wheels and 19-inch wheels, and if you wanted to upgrade to 20 or 21, you had to pay so much money for it. Yes, you do pay for some bits of extras on Chinese cars as well, but there are tons of deals. And sometimes if you're willing to wait within a space of 1 month, there's a deal. You can get upgraded rims for free, 5-year service free, things like that. And I don't want to get into the politics of that or anything, but I just feel like the car market has grown to the point where every car brand, things should just be standardized, if you know what I mean. Certain features shouldn't be reserved for like a privileged few. If I don't have the money, yes, I should be able to enjoy a certain limit of luxury. Those things shouldn't be reserved for. And I think many companies are having to catch up now, because when you look at the Toyota BZ3X and many other old established brands, they're being forced now to switch up and to do more for their customers, which is understandable, because if you don't do it, you're going to be left behind. Things like wireless charging, right? Wireless charging pads came on legacy brands years back, even I would say before Chinese cars, but they were giving like 15 watts. And with the way phones are charging at 45 watts, 50 watts, 80 watts. So if today you are still providing wireless charging pads that charge at 15 watts, 30 watts, I think it's just still too slow. It's lagging behind the Chinese companies. I'm a nobody. I'm just sharing my opinion due to what I see going on in the car industry here in China, especially. There are Chinese cars now that are providing wireless charging pads for 50 watts. They're providing 50-watt wireless charging pads, and they give you two charging pads. Some premium brands are still giving you just one, and 15-watt charging, 25-watt charging, 30-watt watt charging. For someone who owns a phone that comes with a 60-watt wired charging, if you give him a 50-watt wireless charging pad, he is so excited. That alone can break the deal for a competitor, because the competitor is only giving one wireless charging pad and 30 or 15-watt charging. So this is just another one of those examples of what premium brand or established car brands can do. Technology is growing very fast, and nobody is waiting for nobody. If you don't up your game, someone is going to take over. It's just how it is. It's just competition. So as you can see, if you look around, you can see in China they have excellent roads, much better than many countries for sure. Every corner of this country you go, there's a lot of development. Like I'm saying, I'm not doing any politics or whatever. I'm just sharing my experience on living here for so long and seeing. So in terms of suspension, and that's the funny thing, they have good roads, but the cars still provide you with very good suspension. You sit in some of these Chinese cars and you think you're sitting in like a Volvo in the situation of 10 years ago, when almost every car brand would have like too rigid suspension or not too comfortable. But now you have even a $15, $10,000, $12,000 Chinese car, and it has very comfortable suspension. But in bigger brands, you need to pay more to get these things. Air suspension is very common on Chinese cars as well. Well, you have conventional suspension, which are comfortable, and you can still upgrade to air suspension, but you don't have to pay like $10,000 or euros or whatever just to get air suspension. You add like $1,000 or $2,000 in China, and you can get air suspension. That's if you want, which you don't really need, because the basic spring suspension is good enough, right? So the competition is on, and any company, especially in China, maybe somebody who has never been to China or doesn't live here will not understand what I'm saying. And unfortunately, the cars that I'm meeting today are all like Nissan, Toyotas, and things like that. There are people who are still holding on to their ICE cars, and there's no point selling anyway, because the second-hand car market in China is kind of rubbish. But if you live here or you travel here, you move around, I'm sure you've seen the videos. You would see the kind of cars the Chinese companies are making. So much tech in the cars. You got cars that have cameras here to monitor everything that's going on in the car, and they double as webcam cameras as well. So if you, just like I'm talking now, you have a call on WeChat or WhatsApp or whatever, it's connected. You can have your whatever conference call, video conference call, which is something that should really be like not standard, but should be provided on all cars. So this car, Skoda Octavia, 8 years ago, would have been sort of a mid-size, mid-level comfort car, sort of. But I will tell you, in China right now, Skoda is even closing. It's even hard to find any Skoda dealerships because nobody's buying them. For many Chinese, this is like a 10, 15-year-old car. So no one's buying them. They're all buying like electric cars to save costs, to save the environment, and also just for the luxury of it, right? Just because of what they're putting in these cars, you know. So another thing is most Chinese cars, especially the ones with 3-row seats, you don't just sit at the back and look at your phone. You have screens put in the middle, in the roof. You press something or you just talk to the car and they can lower, and you can watch high definition. They have 6K screens. Most are like 2.7K. They have 4K. And recently the 600, is it the G600 from Lake & Co? Comes with a 6K screen for the rear passengers, and it's a wide screen, and it has so much functionality. You can split the screen and watch 2 programs on the side. Besides a huge screen that they will give you in the front, you have this huge screen on the side. By the way, I'm just driving in the Songjiang University town area. So if you look around, you can see that it's not that built up because it's a university environment. So I'm just driving around the Songjiang University town. But like I was saying, you get screens all over. So some people will say a car is a machine to be driven, but I beg to differ. I think that times have changed. People now want more than just a vehicle, something to move around with. So they give you the big screen at the back, and rear passengers, if you don't want it, you can turn it off. If you don't want your kids to watch it, you can control it from here. You can control from the rear. You can lock it so nobody uses it. But if you need it, it's there, right? If it's a family car, why not put it in there? Because that's what families do anyway. So if families watch TV or movies at home, why can't they do the same in the car? These are things that established brands they have the money, I believe they can find the technology or the guys to do the tech stuff, but they're just not doing it for some reason. And this is one of the reasons why the local brands are just taking over, because they're providing these things that premium car brands are not providing, right? You have panoramic roofs that are not just glass, but they are tinted, or they have different shades of tint, and you just press a button and it grays out, or it gives you this dark tint, and you press a button, the same button again, and it lights up for you. So this is another one of those functions that the Chinese cars are using now to beat the foreign brands. And it's like, all that I'm saying might sound like nonsense to somebody, but if you have seen some of the Chinese cars, maybe even just by looking at them in videos, but if you've touched them and sat in them and even tested them, they're so quiet. Everything you touch is just soft touch. And sometimes I even wonder how they're able to provide all these things for that kind of money, because it seems like too much luxury for the amount of money they're asking for compared to what we used to have in the past with regards to premium brands. So Mercedes-Benz, Volvo, Audi, BMW, all these expensive cars. Let's leave the Rolls Royces and those ones out, because those are like super premium cars. No matter how they are, rich people are still going to buy because of the status. I'm talking about ordinary people, right? So now ordinary people can enjoy luxury as well. And I think that, in my personal opinion, living in China over these years and seeing the trajectory of the development in car manufacturing and the auto industry, I would say that, and I'm sure the companies, the established brands, know what I'm talking about. They really got to sit up. Otherwise, in a few years, a lot of them, I dare to say, will be kicked out of the Chinese market. Well, we can talk about other markets, that's fine. They're still going to, but the Chinese market is going to be really, really tough. And in recent years, I've seen the established brands also coming in with a lot of features, and they're like going into collaborations with Chinese companies to develop cars, kind of like hybrid cars, hybrid in terms of sharing technology and knowledge to build cars. They're collaborating. That's the word. You have no option. You've got to do it, because if you don't do it, you're gonna be out of the system within a short time. So some of the other functions are, there are Chinese cars now that park themselves, right? I know it's not a new feature, but they're way more advanced. You get to your destination, the map automatically picks empty parking spots. You pick the one you want. You just touch the screen, and then you get out of the car. Once you touch that spot, the car knows you want to park there. Yeah, there have been a few accidents happening here and there, but it's improved a lot. And that's what the customers want, right? If you're a business, you do what the customers want. So you touch the screen, you get out of the car, you walk away, and then the car parks, turns itself off. And if it's an air suspension car, it drops the suspension, right? All these functions. You don't have to sit in the car spending 2 minutes for someone who is not experienced in driving, or 30 seconds turning back driving into the parking just to park properly. The car is going to do it all for you. And there are cars now that you can summon. By the way, I don't even see keys anymore. All Chinese cars come with like a card, and in some cases a key, still a key fob. And then you also can do it on your phone. So you can be somewhere in another country and see the status of your car, the location, heat it up, check your battery status, look around the car through the cameras. So basically with your phone, you can do anything. You walk close to the car, everything is ready for you. You just sit in the car, put on your seatbelt, and you accelerate, and off you go. So the times have changed. This is what people want. It's not about, oh, this is not safe, or the technology is not ready. They're not waiting for nobody. That's the point I'm trying to make. And they make the mistakes, they correct them, and they keep going. And the cars are getting better and better and becoming more and more perfect. So yeah, I mean, if for someone who might be in doubt, I've done many videos on this channel. Like I said before, you can go and take a look at the videos and see what I'm talking about. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The technology that's built into some of these cars, like this one, is called IM. I think it's a collaboration between Alibaba and another company. You look at the design of the car and the functionality it has. I have a video review of the SUV version of that specific car. So that's what I'm trying to say, that foreign companies, you really need to take a look at what they're doing, and maybe there's no shame in copying. I mean, Chinese companies were copying foreign cars before, and if they're doing something right now and it's on the flip side, I think foreign brands should do the same, right? So I'm not making this video to shade anyone. I just thought about this and decided, well, why don't I just bring this up, and let's see how the conversation will go, right? You can leave your comments in the comment section, and let's see what opinions people have about what I'm saying. I might be wrong, but these are just the things that I've observed, and it's not about trying to prove that I know better than anyone, but it's just my personal experience that I'm putting out there. You can agree with me or not, but whatever it is, just leave your comments in the comment section, and let's keep the discussion going. All right, guys, so thank you so much for watching. I'm truly grateful. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And depending on the number of likes I get, I would be able to continue making such vlogs on similar topics, or any other topics that you want me to make videos on about China, because I've been here quite a while, so I know quite a bit about what's going on here. And do make some time to check out my channel. I have some really nice videos there, and don't forget, like I said, to support my channel to help us grow together. So again, till I see you in the next video, guys, ride legal, ride safe always. I do that for my motorcycles, but I guess in this case, drive legally, drive safely. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.